Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/AskReddit by Planet Reddit. Gun shop employees of Reddit. What are some red flags that have caused you to deny a sale of a firearm? Serious. I used to work in a large outdoors retailer. I had a man come in for a gun that refused to give me his ID. Also didn't want to give me his name, address, date of birth or any other info. He said he should just be able to answer the questions on the background check and that should be all I needed. Sale denied. Sounds like you passed some kind of test. Shit, there are tests for these kind of things? Where do I find the study material? Finally one that I can answer. I was living in Alaska for a year and picked up a part-time job in the winter as a gun counter clerk at a national sporting goods chain. One slow evening a kid comes in, by kid I'm talking college aged, and starts staring into the pistol case. I ask him if he wants to see one and that I'd need his ID to verify his age etc. All's going well. It's obvious he's new to guns. I ask him what his intended purpose and use was in order to find what might suit his needs. He says he wants a cowboy style gun and all he wants to do is to go shooting to let off steam. That his mom teases him for always being on the computer and growing up a kitten. The more I talked to him the more I realized he was just a closet weeboo otaku. My brother's a full-on weeboo, so I told the kid about how they had a big group of friends who met once a year during AX or Comic-Con SD. Kid was straight up starry-eyed. Told me he wishes he knew people like that. That if he had friends like that he wouldn't have bipolar issues. In the end I told the kid not to buy a gun. Save up his money and GTFO of Alaska. I swear I've not had a happier customer. Dude didn't even buy anything. His mom sounds like a dunt. Edit. Okay, I know his mom isn't necessarily a bad person, but he tried to purchase a gun to be more manly after too much shit from his family. There's obvious societal problems with the ideal man and manly activities and I must address this. I really felt for him too because my own dad was like that to my brother. One time my brother asked if he could use my backpack for school because my pops was chastising him for using his idle master messenger bag to carry his books in. My dad was giving him shit, calling it a purse and whatnot. I told him to tell my dad to duck off but still gave him my backpack anyway. I no longer live at home but lil bro still does. My brother absolutely hates my dad even though they're very similar. Already posted one here but another doozy was sketchy bloke comes in and wants to look at lever action shotguns. Before this thing's even left my hands he's smashing the lever as hard and fast as he can. I asked him to not do that and had to explain to a grown-ass man why it's not okay to roughly handle a brand new anything that you haven't bought. He's got one of those 5-year-old kids he keeps interrupting us talking cause he wanted to hold the gun. I turned my back to double check price and when I turn around I'm looking down the barrel of the shotgun the father's handed to his kid and hear the click of him dry firing it at me. Ripped it out of this kid's hand and told the dad to get the duck out and dad starts abusing me cause I hurt his kid's hand when I pulled the shotgun away. Having his kid fire a shotgun in my face isn't that big of a deal apparently. Holy duck dude. I think a Jesus duck in Christ would be more appropriate. Obvious straw purchases. Dude A asks all the questions and does the shopping and dude B, or girlfriend, wants to fill out the background check and pay for it. GTFO. Edit. A lot of comments about gifting. What I'm talking about is something different. Imagine a couple people showing up that just enjoyed some meth or brought in a cloud of weed along with them. I'm not talking about a dude and his girlfriend picking out a gun for her or something. Edit 2. Some people complaining about my weed comment. I don't have anything against it myself but it's illegal to own firearms and smoke weed. I wasn't being hyperbolic. People actually come and smelling strongly of it. If you smell like weed but mark no I don't use any illegal drugs on the 4473 federal background check form, then I no longer feel comfortable selling to you because the rest of the responses could be lies too. Is it a straw sale if dude A does everything except pay for it, like as a gift? It's only a straw sale if you try to avoid the background check and paperwork on the person who will actually end up owning the firearm. If you want to buy somebody a firearm, and they come with you and do all the shopping, that's great. It just means that the person you are giving the gun to has to pass the background check and present it, not you. It's exactly the same as if you just gave them cash as a gift and they went to the store to buy the gun themselves. However, If the shop gets any sort of vibe that you are trying to pay for it and the other person might actually give it to you, they will probably deny the sale. Former gun shop employee here. An automatic ejection from the store was when the customer asks which kind of firearm is effective for harming or killing people. I've personally called the police on a few sketchy buyers. All came through with having warrants or issues. My boss didn't take this kind of shit lightly. We had short team meetings every week to ensure everyone understood what goes on. He was an excellent boss. How is I want this for home personal defense, not asking what gun is good for harming or killing people? Concerns for home defense are just lethality, but noise, portability, reliability, and penetration. You don't want to go deaf, blind, and shoot through to your kid's room with an unwieldy mancula. Guy walked in wearing a bulletproof vest. Never bought a gun before, better look safe and experienced. Sounds like some Always Sunny logic. We get lots of people who use us for transfers. They buy online and then the gun comes to us and we handle the background check. One guy had done a transfer with us previously and I got a bad feeling about him. Nothing concrete. He just bugged me. A few weeks later, he called again for another transfer. The gun was coming from Alaska, so I told him it was going to take a bit longer than usual and I'd call him as soon as it arrived. The next day, he called wanting to know if I had a tracking number yet. I didn't. The Alaska FFL only did business by mail. How the hell a letter was supposed to get to Alaska overnight? I know not. Again, I told him to be patient. Fast forward a week and he calls me 3 times. He let slip that the dealer in Alaska won't talk to him and he needs me to be the go-between. That's a red flag. Sellers normally communicate with buyers. He was acting really sketchy and impatient, so I had decided to deny the sale. So, I called the dealer because this was getting sketchy. The dealer told me he cancelled the sale. Interesting. Never had that happen before. The dealer said, and I'm quoting here, that guy is a serial killer in the making. He'd harass the dealer several times a day starting on the day he ordered the gun. The dealer said the guy knew the sale was cancelled because he told him and refunded his money. That settled it for me. I wasn't interested in handling any transfers for him. When I finally blocked his phone number, 2 days after talking to the dealer, I had 35 missed calls from him. TLDR. Guy was super impatient about a transfer, harassed the seller and spooked him pretty badly. Logged 35 missed calls to my phone in 2 days. Why did he want this specific gun so badly? What type of firearm was it? Since we never took possession of it, I don't know. It never went in our A&D book, so I can't check as to why he wanted this particular one so badly. No clue. We've had competitive shooters do transfers and they get a bit twitchy if shipping takes a bit longer. They sight in their guns before competition. But this guy wasn't a hunter or a competitive shooter. I like it when they make it obvious for me and, hopefully, joke about shooting at schools protesters. It happens more than you would think. Also, don't send your friend you were browsing with to try and buy the exact same firearm that you wanted 15 minutes after I told you I couldn't sell to you. Whoa, that's like joking about having a bomb at the airport. How dumb do you have to be? Also, after reading this thread, it's surprising how easy it would be to buy a gun, yet people still do it in the dumbest ways. Our range rents out firearms for trap skeet shooting. Had a lady come in asking strange questions like does it hurt if someone gets shot with it, and also acted weird when she answered a call and told the person that she was at a coffee shop. She left, and we called the cops to file a report of a suspicious person. Might have been suicidal. The lady might have wanted a painless death, and had a past of suicide attempts, thus like to hide that she was at a place where she may have intended to harm herself. Do cops where you live actually take reports for suspicious persons? Last time I called, it was because a person wearing an all black a ski mask and a Guy Fawkes mask started walking at me yelling, "We're cool, I am not gonna hurt you, da." They said they couldn't do anything because it wasn't a crime. Paperwork accuracy is a big issue. It has to be 100%. If your gov shooter doesn't match the info you put on a form and you don't have any of the allowed supporting information, then no gun sales to you. Had one guy come in only with the title to his car, no gov issued photo id. He spouted some BS about sovereign citizen blah blah. We took his info and blacklisted him in the computer. We didn't want to be associated with that type of folks. We would also ask what the intended use was for and led them with a certain hunting season. An example would be, okay, why do you need a .22 rifle? Going to hunt some deer? If they would answer yes, no gun. The .22 rifle, while capable to kill a deer, is not allowed in our state's hunting regulations, or any that I know of. Big red flag. We had a protocol that if we got strange customers, like folks asking for one bullet, seemed like they were just trying to get any gun, making threatening statements etc., we would make them fill out their section of the 4473 form, photocopy their ID, then deny the sale. This way we could involve law enforcement as needed. If we just told them no, you have nothing else than a shitty description and some security camera footage. Sovereign citizen types are funny. I don't know how they think they can get out of laws and such just by going no. I choose to not follow any of them. Yep, that's not how it works. The best explanation I ever heard regarding SOF-CIT is they are a cargo cult. They see and hear fancy lawyers arguing law and getting people everyone knows is guilty off scot-free. O.J. Simpson, Wall Street bankers, politicians, etc. They don't actually understand how the law works, but like the cargo cultists, they mimic it as best they can in hopes that it will have the same result. Back when I used to work behind the counter, I had a guy who wouldn't stop sweeping customers and employees with the muzzle of firearms he asked to see. I warned him several times to stop. When he deliberately aimed it at a customer, I immediately took the pistol away and kicked him out the store. That kind of unsafe behavior is something I won't tolerate, and I certainly denied sales back then, and I will deny training if I see it on the range now. I'm not a gun owner, but isn't the number one rule of owning a gun not pointing it at someone else? And why do it in a gun store? Edit. Thanks for the answer, everyone. 4 rules of gun safety. All guns are always loaded. Never let the muzzle cover anything you are not willing to destroy. Keep your finger off the trigger until your sights are on the target. Be sure of your target and what is beyond it. Join our community Discord, link in description. Drugs. Had a guy come in one time with his family and wanted something cheap. He had all these track marks on his arms, scabs on his face, and was really out of it. I did my best to tell him no without making a fuss, and finally had to say something about the track marks in front of everyone. Not a good day for him. I guess he'd been telling his family they were from something else and they believed him. What are track marks? Track marks are the little bumps that are left behind after injection. I'm not sure of the anatomy behind it, but if I was guessing, I'd say it has something to do with damaged veins under the skin. A Google image search would probably give you better info than I could. I don't work in a gun shop, but I'm an avid collector and conduct private sales every so often. In my state, there's a couple of modest rules that have to be followed. You can't knowingly transfer to a prohibited person. You can't transfer across state lines. You can't transfer to a minor unless they're a family member. That kind of thing. Due to my state's proximity to Illinois and Chicago, and the relative ease of obtaining a carry license, the carry license has become kind of a stand-in for background checks that private sellers can't do. I ask for a driver's license to show residency, a carry permit to show this person would pass a 4473 background check if I ran one. Then have them fill out a bill of sale basically saying I promise I'm not a prohibited person. Any legit gun enthusiast can breeze through those requirements. People who get shitty about them set off red flags for me. This one dude super sketched me out, and I took some screen grabs of the conversation. Basically, he was from out of state and tried to cajole me into selling him an AK pattern rifle. After double and triple checking the relevant laws, I told him I wasn't comfortable with a private sale, but I'd be more than happy to go to a dealer and pay the transfer fee. It's legal to transfer to an out-of-state buyer if you do it through a dealer. We'd have met at a gun store and taken 10 minutes to do it. I maintain a no sketch policy for sales. There's always another buyer out there who won't give you shit about basic ass covering. A week later, the rifle sold to a completely normal dude with a valid permit who lived in the next county over. I think the guy was just an idiot, not a criminal straw buyer or an aspiring mass shooter. But when someone argues with you about the law and tries to pressure you into a sale, that's a red flag. Edit. Thank you for the gold. I also accept baggies of loose .22 LR, homemade cookies, and socks. Fully automatic suppressed machine gun. What a ride. It's a GSG semi-auto .22 LR MP5 clone with a faux suppressor to cover the 16-inch barrel. LOL. Gun license photo. In Australia looked nothing like him and he couldn't tell me the name or birthday on the license. I asked because there was a lack of resemblance between him and picture and a big red flag when he picked up a rifle and pressed his eye hard into the scope to look through it. Just walked out with his hair down when he was told we're keeping the lost stolen gun license. At least police would be able to identify him by the black eye. Can I ask the significance of pressing his eye hard into the scope? I know nothing about guns. I did front-end code for a lot of small firearm companies that used NFD and GFI websites to sell guns online. You wouldn't believe the amount of successful fraud there was in purchasing $10,000 scopes. However, the worst customer that one of them told me about was a man who had murdered his girlfriend a few days after purchasing a gun. She, gun shop owner, unfortunately didn't see any red flags and lost her business over what happened. She was forced to close for investigation, but by the time the investigation was completed she had lost too much money and couldn't afford to keep paying the lease on her location. Amount of successful fraud there was in purchasing $10,000 scopes. Well, do tell. Basically, scopes are a very expensive firearm accessory that you are allowed to have shipped to your home. People would use a stolen credit card, then purchase an item and have it delivered to abandoned buildings, empty lots. No idea why the UPS drivers would leave the package there. The main issue is a lot of firearm dealers were set up with drop shipping, so as soon as an order was created it went directly from the distributor to the customer without a dealer ever seeing the transaction unless they manually log in and look. Unfortunately, it was very risky to use drop shipping due to fraud. Thermal scopes can get expensive. Worked at a large outdoor store in their firearms section. Had a customer come in and ask about a precision rifle chambered in .338 Lapua. Then while handing him his background paperwork he asked how far can this bullet hit a human-sized target. He said he was buying it for big game hunting. A little sketchy, I know. I gave him some answer, at least 1,000 yards. But I'll get a definite answer. Walked in back to find the manager, who was the only person who can deny a sale. Explained what happened. Manager had him fill out paperwork and get his ID, then denied sale immediately after. And the kicker was he used his Chinese passport with a student visa as his ID. Police were called and they took it to the FBI. Can a foreigner on a visa purchase a gun legally in the US? Assuming they aren't sketchy. Edit. Got a lot of good answers. Thanks everyone. As far as I know, yes. My dad's Dutch-Canadian friend moved to Texas and within 2 years turned into a gun nut with something like 20 rifles. He was a legal permanent resident though. Saying stupid stuff. Avoiding conversation and eye contact. Consulting their partner who they were hiding outside. Yes, we can see you out there. Some get by though. Husband and wife were looking for new turkey guns before the season. She came in later that week and picked up new hunting gear and shotgun. Walked to get car and shot herself. Lots of bolo phone conversations with other shops. Being near a city kept us on our toes. I tried to copy as many IDs as possible. In NY you can only handle handguns with a permit, so that reduced a lot of knuckleheads. Avoiding conversation and eye contact. So what you're saying is, regardless of my intentions I'd never be able to buy a gun. These two things essentially define me. Did she kill herself? If so, was it intentional? Or did she just shoot herself in the foot or something? God, there are so many psychos in this world. This story should have ended with so we called the police and he was arrested. But it doesn't. He falsified answers on a federal form, which is a felony. He falsified answers on his firearm ID, meaning it was likely fake. Felony. He made a physically aggressive move intended to threaten a store employee. That's assault. Felony. Welcome to the USA, where it's only your problem as long as it's on your property. In the times before the instant background check, we just took their word for it. The guy answered yes on the "have you been convicted of a felony" question. I told him he couldn't buy a gun. He asked for another form so he could answer no. I told him to leave and never come back. Either it was an ATF sting, or he was too stupid to own a gun. He asked for another form so he could answer no. ducking bold move there, haha. About a year ago I had a lady doing the paperwork to transfer a pistol and she asked the question, felonies go away after 20 years, right? I promptly picked everything up and said nope, have a good day. Reverse situation, knife dealer at a gun show and a guy wanted to trade a fairly unique handgun for knives. I little geeky, but no major red flags, no problem. He picked out his knives which resulted in a good size stack of blades. Talking to him while bagging them he says he wanted to trade the gun for knives because I never get the chance to shoot people. I already had his info and reported him to local PD and had a gun checked. He came back clean and so did the gun. In the end, just an odd fellow. I just don't get why people would say that. Like I know people can be socially awkward and don't want to look like a bad person around someone selling weapons. But out of everything you can say. Car pulls up in front of my store with window rattling bass. Doors open. 3 gentlemen emerge from car in clouds of smoke. Said gentleman enter store, polluting the air with a horrible, skunky smell. Head of the pack is wearing a black nylon shoulder holster so loose it's flopping out from under his jacket and holding his mid-sized Glock at a 45-degree angle pointed toward the ceiling. The red-eyed trio approach the counter and want to see that AK-47. I told them that AK-47 was an SKS and I wasn't going to hand them any weapon, as they were impaired in my judgment. Thankfully they left the store with nothing more than some cursing and promises to tell everybody not to come to my store. Thanks for letting your friends know they're not welcome here either. The red-eyed trio approach the counter and want to see that AK-47. I told them that AK-47 was an SKS and I wasn't going to hand them any weapon, as they were impaired in my judgment. My sides, oh Jesus. 1. People saying or wanting several at a time and after questioning figuring out they were intent on going to the gun show to sell them for way more than purchased for. The common thing was people would buy a $500 to $700 AR then take it to a gun show and be able to sell it for $1,200 plus. This was during the Obama administration. 2. People not knowing what firearm they want but being very general. Example. C. I want a 9mm. Me. Okay, any particular brand? C. Doesn't matter. Me. Okay, what price range are you in? C. Man, I don't care. I just need a gun. 3. People trying to buy for a friend but try to say it's a gift. 4. People lying about their information. I'm sure some of the other gun sellers in here can help but there's so many little things when it comes to dealing with people in the firearm industry. You learn how to read people, what questions to ask, and how to ask them. It's similar to when cops get a hunch and something ends up not being right. Happy to address any questions, concerns, etc. Thanks for reading. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.